Okay, so welcome everybody. My name is Jackie Boyle and I live in Sydney, Australia, and I have the honour to be able to assist Dr. Joseph Ahrens in bringing information to you through providing knowledge to be able to give you the benefit of understanding what his products are capable of doing and to be able to allow you to share these products with a lot more confidence in understanding what they're about. But today, we have the pleasure of having a very good friend, Dr. Boersema Snr, and he is going to do a presentation for us today and looking at food layering for optimum gut health. And I want you to sit back, really listen to what he's got to say. It's a field and an area that he excels in and has years of experience in this field, and after going through this presentation, I know that you're going to really understand the importance of food layering and what it can possibly do for your body. So how are you, Ron?
I am doing well, Jackie. Thank you very much. And I'll just pop that screen on here a minute and we can go from there.
So if everybody would like to mute yourselves, and we'll get started, and at the end of it we may have enough questions for, enough time for 2 questions. So I'll hand this over to Ron.
Well, thank you, Jackie. I certainly appreciate this opportunity to kind of fill in for Dr. Joe right now and share a little bit of what I have been trained in and have been taught over the many, many years. And I know listening to Dr. Joe talk and having talked with him and interviewed him numerous times, I know that we think a lot alike. I think he's probably way more degree than I am, but anyway, a lot more experience. I don't have a Nobel Prize nomination on my list, so he's got me beat. But anyway, what we have is really some concepts that I'd like to share that have been a tremendous benefit. Number one, for me and my wife, Donna. We've been married almost 57 years now, and or almost 58 years, come to think of it. But we made some major changes years and years ago due to some own health concerns. Donna's oldest sister was diagnosed with multiple myeloma, bone marrow cancer. And I was eating horrible back in those days. Mountain Dew, 2 liters a day, fast foods, just garbage. And I was up at 238 pounds. Today I'm 186 pounds. And feel amazing for my 77 years young. So, why did that happen? How did that happen? I just want to take some time to look at some concepts that I think are critical for our health. And we're going to talk about EMULIN too, but there's some basics that we need to get straight. And I think so many people are always asking the question, well, is this good for that? Or is it good for this? Hopefully we're going to answer some of those questions here. So healthy concepts to reflect on. It's time really to create a health paradigm shift, and we need to do that. So one of the things we always ask is why? And I can remember as a 4-year-old boy saying, Daddy, why is the grass green? He says, well, because it's got chlorophyll in it, and blah, blah, blah. So we got to be that little 4-year-old mindset of asking why for something. And we're not trained to do that. We're trained to just listen to what we're taught and not to critically think for ourselves. So hopefully this will get you doing some critical thinking. So the question is, why, but few really dare to ask themselves that question. So the question is, how or why did I develop cancer? How did I develop arthritis or diabetes or fibromyalgia or Alzheimer's or psoriasis? My dad had, Dr. Joe has had, or lupus or ADHD. All those conditions really are, we need to find out the why, because we don't want to just treat symptoms. So if you want to make a positive change in your health, you first need to ask that question, why? And one of the dear mentors and trainers that I've had the pleasure of knowing, now deceased, brilliant man, Bernard Jensen, Dr. Jensen. I studied with him back in the late 80s at his ranch in Escondido, California. He would always say in his lovely mid 80s by that time, saying, something to think about. So that's just a little way of saying, think about it. So to find why, your why, you need to, and I think that screen is just a little bit too high there, you need to find out the cause and then explore what can be done to correct the conditions that allow the changes to occur in the first place. So examples are food choices. You know, we go through the grocery store and we see carts that are full of stuff like that. And you look at the person that's pushing the cart and you know exactly why they look the way they look. I mean, it's really obvious. And Donna and I will, you know, quietly look at each other and shake our heads like, don't you wish you could talk to them because they can change their life? Or we have the lack of exercise. And today, I think kids are born with those devices in their hands and they don't even know how to communicate anymore. So then we got more health destroyers like toxic environment. We've got prescription drugs that most people seem to be on. In fact, it's so amazing when I am asked by my doctors, what drugs are you on before the appointments? I'll say none. And you hear this pregnant pause at the end of the line, knowing my age, because I can see it on the screen, I'm not any drugs, none whatsoever. And that's unusual because it's not the normal thing. Most people are following their doctor's advice and they're getting on prescription drugs. Maybe it's necessary. We'll talk about that in a bit. Lack of sleep. Oh, people just don't get enough sleep. Or there's stress. And boy, don't we know about stress in our world today. So what Ken Pepperdine, Dr. Pepperdine is a dear friend up in Canada. He and I put this together some time ago already. And it's just to get us thinking because we maybe all remember the food pyramid. And at the bottom of the food pyramid was grains, carbohydrates. And that food pyramid was there to help us be healthy. And at the very top of it, as I recall, was like meats. That food pyramid's upside down. It's wrong. It's totally wrong. And now all these years later, they know it because they were saying that fats make you fat. That's the biggest lie ever perpetrated on our culture. Fats don't make you fat, sugar makes you fat, bottom line. So the bottom of our food pyramid or our health pyramid, we got to change the foundation. So what's the foundation? And if you look at on the lower right there, it says maximize levels 1 through 4 to get optimum health. And then there's little dollar signs as we go up the pyramid. So on the bottom, you got healthy lifestyle choices, exercise, forgiveness, joy, clean water, social bonds. We're not doing a lot of that lately. Unprocessed organic pastured foods like organic stuff that we can get from cows or grains, that type of thing. And God, spirit, love, clean environment, rest, mental hygiene, clean up your mind. Next step up, nutritional deficiency we need to look at. And we have a flavonoid deficiency. We have mineral deficiencies because it's not in our foods today, because we don't process, we over process our foods and it's not in the soil anymore. So we're not getting the minerals we need to have a healthy life. We're not getting the omega-3 oils, the probiotics, everything's dead. We get the pasteurized everything. You know, pasteurized just means they're killing it. So there's no enzyme function. Vitamin D, most people are told, don't go out in the sun, put sunscreen on. You're not getting vitamin D. That's wrong. So then we got 24/7 carb burner. Dr. Joe's one of his great products. So it helps to create that healthy blood sugar level. And there's antioxidants in there, and they're important for life. So number 3 on the level, health augmentation. EMULIN, 24/7 carb burner are things we can put into our body. And we're talking Valentis products, so there's others that we can take that'll help augment that too. And then we want to use natural holistic intervention, acupuncture, chiropractic, naturopathic, orthomolecular, nutrition, traditional Chinese, dentistry, osteopathic, optometric, and physiotherapy. Now, all of you see on the right side there, the dollars go up every time you start doing something else. And then the last from the top is medical allopathic intervention, our medical doctors. And then we're talking drugs, we're talking chemotherapy and surgery and radiation. That's a lot of money. So the old saying is you can pay me now or you can pay me later. So I'd rather pay a little bit now. You know, we go out and walk. Excuse me. I've been talking a lot with Jackie in the last hour and all day long with some kids, so my throat's dry. Anyway, that's what we call a health pyramid. And so the principles of healthiatry, and that's the practice that I'm involved in. It's like psychiatry, only it's Healthiatry is how you pronounce it. So building health, not treating disease. That's key. And if we use that and think about that way when we're presenting our products, we're not going to get in trouble. We can't be talking about diseases. We've got to talk about building health. So if you look at this slide here, it says there are 8 origins of health. So number 1, nutrition. Number 2, digestion. Number 3, assimilation, elimination. Very important. A lot of people don't like to talk about that. It's critical. How the body utilizes what we put in. What's our attitude? Do we exercise? What's our environment? If we're indoors all the time, or if we're outdoors in a polluted environment, you know, we got to get the environment as good as we can. So these can be thought of as stepping stones on the path to optimum health. Failure to step on each stone on the path prevents the individual from reaching their goal of optimum health. So it's my role to evaluate. Excuse my voice. Oh my goodness. So we need to do that to get ourselves back to having a good, healthy life. So when those 8 origins of health are missing, the individual then slips into a state of what we call sub-health. So what are sub-health conditions? Well, there are 6 health destroyers. 3 of them accounted for are from the 5% basically of sub-health conditions are hereditary weakness, congenital deformity, organic injury. Those just, that's the way it is. That's the way you're born, or you have an accident. The second 3 are about 95 of the sub-health conditions. Cellular contamination. What are we putting in our bodies? What are we breathing? Nutritional weaknesses. What aren't we eating that we should be eating? Emotional stress. We all deal with that. So these 3 conditions prevent the body from functioning really as it should. So then there's a health failure list. So if we take them in a progressive order of the 3 health destroyers, so we look at biochemical molecules improperly or incompletely built or not built at all. We have cell enzyme function fails, organelle function within the cell fails, cells fail, tissue fails, organs fail, systems fail, death occurs. That's the progression of how we go from being a young, strong, healthy person to ultimately, if we're not taking care of ourselves, to winding up dying. Now, I'm going to die someday. We all will. Those things will ultimately all fail. So that's just a fact. But how do we stay as fit as we can for as long as we can? Well, we're going to look into that. So the origins of health are omitted and health destroyers go undetected or uncorrected. The body descends down the health failure list. Eventually, the body begins to exhibit what are known as sub-health manifestations in decreasing order as they appear here. So fatigue, loss of energy, nervousness, irritability, pain, reduction of function, loss of function, and death. So sub-health conditions move progressively through the following degrees of health stress. The light one is like no sub-health manifestations. Second one, occasional manifestations. Moderate, number 3, annoying maybe. Then it becomes a little more serious consistently and ultimately incapacitating. I gotta get a drink of water again.
You sure you don't have wine in there, Ron? Getting some flavonoids while you're
Maybe that's what I'm missing here, Jackie. So by restoring these missing health origins and eliminating the destroyers, the body can create health. Don't forget that. Very important. So nutritional deficiencies, fact or fiction? So think in your mind just a minute before I turn the page here. Do you think that's a real fact or is that fiction? We'll look at that. Something to remember. There's a very wide degree of difference of opinion as to how much poor health is a result of inadequate amount of nutrients. First in our diet, then subsequently in our body. On the one hand, you have a school of thought that is represented by conventional medicine establishment, the FDA, the AMA, wherever you're at in the world, registered dietitians and their associates. And basically, they flatly declare that nutritional deficiencies have almost nothing to do with health problems of most people. They firmly believe that the average American diet supplies all the nutritional needs the individual needs for good health. And to get this conventional viewpoint, there are a number of ways you can look at that. You can look at the Harvard Medical School health letter to see what they say. On the other hand, you have another school of thought represented by a rapidly growing group of scientists and physicians who believe that inadequate nutrients as they relate to the unique needs of each individual is largely the cause of most health problems. Think about that. Most health problems. Now, this man's deceased, but he was Mr. Vitamin C, Nobel Prize winning scientist, Dr. Linus Pauling. Just brilliant. If you've never researched him, look at what he's talked about. It's powerful stuff. It's really educating yourself. To their credit, they have been called orthomolecular or correct molecule nutrition. The International Institute of Nutritional Research, which I'm part of, along with the American Health Dietary Association, belongs to that school of thinking. It is formed from this biased perspective that that this information is presented. So you're encouraged to examine all sides of the issue for yourself and make up your own mind, which is the most correct. I'm not going to tell you, you go do the research yourself. So nutrition is not medicine. Although we've heard the term, let your food be your medicine and your medicine be your food. Well, that's true, but nutrition is not medicine. There's a big difference between the way medical drugs work and the way nutrients work. It's very, very important to understand this. It's important for you to know and understand the difference between what is being successful in using nutrients to create good health. Most of us have been taught by conventional medical establishment that the way to good health is by treating disease or illnesses with medical drugs. So it's only natural that most people to think that nutrients is a sort of natural medicine to treat disease. And we do that. We do that with our nutritional products with any company we're working with. Valentis, a lot of people are talking about, they're asking the questions, well, will EMULIN help for this or for that? That's the wrong question, is what I hope you're going to get out of all of this. So, but it's a wrong way of thinking. To see what is wrong, let's compare the two major differences. First of all, medical drugs, and it's underlined, do act directly. They do act directly on the illness or disease. They intercede and take over an area in the body that's unable to function adequately. The medical drug, not your body, makes the changes. Something we need to definitely think about and keep in mind. Nutrients do not work that way at all. By and large, nutrients serve us in one of two different ways, either by building blocks, by which the body creates the cells and tissues and makes up its structure, or they serve as coenzymes to assist the body in creating normal, healthy function. That's what we're looking for. The body, not nutrients, makes the changes. And you'll hear Dr. Joe say that. EMULIN didn't change your body. Your body changed it. It gave you what you need. So this is the opposite of medical drugs. To be effective in using nutrition, you must keep those differences in mind. Medical drugs make the actual changes, while nutrients only supply the body with raw materials. The body may be used to make the changes so that the body returns to normal. But we live in a microwave society, and it doesn't happen that way, like with drugs that are effective almost immediately. It takes time. So The second difference is in the speed in which they act. Because medical drugs take over directly in an area of the body is not functioning properly, they act very fast, sometimes in literally minutes, which in the life-threatening condition or emergency, that's a good thing. Nutrients do not work that way at all, period. Nutrients are the raw materials your body uses to make every single chemical, hormone, enzyme, prostaglandin, immune factor, blood cell, and tissue in the body. That's what nutrients do. There's absolutely nothing in your body, no matter how complex it is, that wasn't first a simple nutrient in your diet. Think about that. Think about that. Just let that, I'll say it again. There's absolutely nothing in your body, no matter how complex it is, that wasn't first a simple nutrient in your diet. So if that diet lacks the necessary nutrient factors to create those chemicals, hormones, enzymes, prostaglandins, immune factors, blood cells, tissues in your body, then your body is not going to be able to function as it should, and it will eventually manifest as poor health, illness, or disease. If you put those missing nutrients into the body with either food or supplements, the body is to first absorb them, secondly, put them to use or utilize them, either to rebuild the structure or to normalize the biochemical reactions. This often is a slow process, requiring many days at best, generally weeks, and even if not months in some cases. So we hear, oh, I've been taking EMULIN 2 days and it hasn't worked for me yet. Think about that. Now you know. So if we decide to use nutrition to create good health, don't be in a hurry. Nature will not be rushed, period. So here's a quick guide to healthy eating. I love this so much. It's how I live my life, how I've lived it for the past 30 years. There are health protectors. Here are foods you can eat if you're not allergic to them. If you're allergic to them, don't eat them. And Jackie and I have had conversations. There's some things on the list she can't do just because of her condition. So fresh vegetables, fresh fruits, fresh salads, beans and peas. Fava is a bean. We don't want those. But anyway, whole grains, true nuts, dried fruits, vegetable juices. And if you look over to the right, it says eat 3 servings from this group. Use organic whenever possible. Now, yogurt is neutral, but we want yogurt not in the processed form. We want it unprocessed raw goat milk or raw cow's milk. You can, if you can find that, we found a source for that as well. But it's neutral, so you can eat all you want with that because it's got some good bacteria in it. If it's raw, it's those enzymes that allow for good gut health. And the gut health is our immune system. You know, years and years ago, the doctors who maybe that are my age or even a lot younger, there wasn't any study in medical schools about the immune system. It was foreign to them. So when we go ask our doctors, is nutrition good? Is it good for my immune system? They really don't know. You know, they've not been taught. The younger doctors are kind of catching on a little, but there's some issues there too. So then there's number 10, fish, wild caught, not farm raised salmon. That's full of garbage. I'll use a good term. Fowl, free range chickens, beef, lamb, grass fed, eggs from pastured chickens, butter, organically grown from organically grown cows, cheese in a natural form, raw goat's milk, cow's milk, almond milk, heavy cream. Now, 1 serving from this group to 3 servings from the other. And I want to tell you why. I shared this with Jackie. There's a doctor from Germany, and he talks about, and I'm trying to think of his name right off the top of my head, it's not coming, but he talks about the whole idea of balancing the body with pH, potential for hydrogen. Most of us are very acidic. And the reason we're acidic is we're eating all these dead processed foods, carbohydrates. We're not eating fruits and vegetables that are mostly alkaline. So the top 8, they're in that alkaline group, and the bottom 10 through 17 are more in the acidic group. If we get too much acidic in the body, it makes it acidic, and disease lives in an acidic body. So, and we want all the servings the same relative size. And you know, if you go to a restaurant, you get a nice steak dinner, the steak is big and the vegetables are small. You want that just the opposite. It's just like the pyramid. Flip it upside down. The food pyramid, the old one. We got to eat differently. That's the key. So raw fruits and vegetables are preferred. Steam rather than boil them. It's better. For cooking, use only coconut oil or butter. Do not use olive oil for cooking. It becomes rancid. Any other oil other than coconut or butter for cooking, you're going to make rancid oil, and rancid oil is going to cause a lot of problems. More problems than smoking. Herb teas for warm beverages. Of course, unless you're drinking the wonderful coffee we have. Honey and stevia for sweetening. And then a key thing too, really key thing, and most people do not get there. I don't get there often. Drink half your body weight in ounces of pure water a day. We got to flush things through. It goes back to that elimination thing. I was sharing with Jackie the other day about a lady who came in to see me one day. She said, all kinds of problems. I said, well, how often do you have a bowel movement? And she said, oh, I think once a month when I have my period. She's no longer living. She died in her early 50s, colon cancer, because we're producing all that estrogen in the body and there's nowhere for it to go. And it's stored and it causes problems. It can cause cancer of many areas of the body, and the female in particular is not good. So, healthy tips for best digestion, food layering. This one changed my life. I tell you, it's just a short little couple lines, 4 lines here, but it's just dramatically changed. I used to feel bloated and uncomfortable after eating until Dr. Preston, my mentor, trainer, teacher, taught me this. What we want to do first is we want to first eat the raw foods, because it only takes about 20 minutes in the stomach and they're digested. So it doesn't mean you need to wait 20 minutes until you eat the next thing, like the steamed or cooked things, or wait for any of it. Just layer them in that way, because the stomach is this tank at the bottom, and everything you put in is going to go to the bottom first. It's not something that's like a washing machine that's being agitated, although it may feel that way sometimes. If we're eating wrong, putting the wrong things in, it's going to feel like it's an agitation. It's not. It's just going to be there. So if you eat those raw foods, 20 minutes later, there's a little sphincter valve. There's a sphincter valve up at the top here, top of the stomach, bottom of the stomach, and the bottom of the body. So those things all work. And if they're working properly, that's a good thing. So when the sensors in the cells in the stomach say, this food, this raw food, this carrot, it's digested. We can open up that sphincter valve and let it go into the small intestine, where it goes and starts to be absorbed into the body. Then the next thing comes through, and it's the steamed or cooked vegetables, and that's going to take a little bit longer. And then third, it's going to be the grains like breads or potatoes. That's going to take a little longer, 45 minutes to an hour. And then last of all, your proteins. So it's really funny when I get into the restaurants, which is rarely, especially now because our state's closed down. But if you go have a steak dinner, they put your meal in front of you and they come back a couple minutes later and how's your steak? I said, I haven't gotten there. I'm still working on my salad, because I'm going to eat my salad first. Then I'm going to eat my green beans or whatever vegetable they've got on there. And then I may, if I ordered one, which I rarely do, a baked potato. Lastly, I eat my meat, and I will complete eating each one of those separately, because I want that layer in there. And I can eat a lot of food and not be stuffed and full. And then you're going to have good digestion and you're going to have good elimination. Fruits, eat them alone, folks, because if you just had that big steak and you eat a pie dessert, that fruit is going to be 10, 15 minutes digested. And then it's going to sit on top of that steak and it's going to ferment. And you're going to be tired you're going to produce gas because of that fermentation. So what I tend to do is we have our fruit in the between meals, like mid-afternoon, we'll have an apple and a tangelo or something like that. So it's just so important. It's so simple. It's simple to do. It's hard to get there to make it happen. But once you do it, it's like riding a bike. Very, very simple. Jackie, any questions on that before I take a little break in my voice?
Yeah, no, actually they have, Ron, and I, as we progress through here, I hope people are really getting the benefit out of this, because so you can have a little bit of a breather, and I won't keep people long, but that health pyramid, is you're able to go back on this recording and have a look at the benefit of what Dr. Ken Pepperdine and Dr. Ron Boersema Snr have created, is really phenomenal, because it really makes you look at things very differently and how to fuel your body for better health, because we really are what we eat, and we can help our body to function better and treat it like a well-oiled machine. It should be a temple, because it's the number one real estate in your life that you really should value. But somebody has asked on here, Ron, and we'll ask here because it is appropriate on this slide, that instead of using coconut oil, what are your thoughts in regards to using avocado oil?
Maybe I tend not to. I like to stick with those two because I haven't done a lot of research on avocado oil. They weren't readily available when I was putting all this together years ago, but it may be okay. I would check it out though, because I don't know what the flash point is for heating. Because if you overheat oils, they become rancid, and that's the problem. So coconut oil, no problem. Butter, no problem. Avocado, not positive. Don't know.
Okay.
Do your research.
It's personal opinion, so we'll let you keep going.
Okay, so then those are the health builders. Now we got to look at some health destroyers. For maximum health, never, or almost never, unless you're at a party, don't eat these things. Homogenized, pasteurized. Homogenization breaks down the fat in the milk to where your body can't deal with it naturally, and it becomes a problem. Pasteurization kills all the enzymes, so it's dead. Dead foods don't work. Margarine, hydrogenated, it's just this terrible stuff. But that's, the medical community says, don't eat butter because they're still under the impression that fat's bad for you. No, margarine's bad for you. Hydrogenated peanut butter, bad for you. If you get the old fashioned peanut butter with the oil on the top, you got to stir and stir and stir, it's good. Processed American style cheeses, it's processed, not good. Polyunsaturated oils, not good. Fast food, not good. Pizza, if you do your own, make your own, like Donna does on Friday night, we can do a pizza, but not the store-bought stuff. It's just worthless, packaged, processed, dead stuff. Prepared foods, boxed, canned, frozen, pre-mixed, snacks, potato chips, corn chips, all the stuff that people munch on all the time, sitting at a bar or whatever. White bread, buns, rolls, and white bread doesn't really matter. Whole grains, it's all the same thing, it's just a little coloring. Pastries, cakes, pies, it's all grains, Hostess, ding dongs, Twinkies, all that stuff. Jams and jellies, if you're making your own, you can do okay if you don't use the sugar. Sweetened fruit juice is terrible. And I used to see these kids in the mall with their mothers. They're pushing them in a little baby cart, and they got this bottle, sucking on this bottle with fruit juice, sweetened fruit juice. Oh, terrible. Their teeth are going to rot out before they even come in. Soft drinks, terrible. Black tea, not good. Candies, ice cream, one of my old favorites, and all those other things. But eating from this group can lead to a toxic burden and nutritional deficiencies. What we need to do is change the way we think. So we should be asking, what nutritional deficiencies, toxic burden, or hormonal imbalances do I have that led me to this dis-ease? And listen to what I said there, dis-ease within the body. It's not easy, something's not right. And then when that happens, then the medical community labels it with a disease. We're talking dis-ease in the body. Then and then only can you properly build health and not treat disease. And Here's something that if you've listened to Dr. Joe for a while, you'll hear him talk about, and that's flavonoid deficiency syndrome. So what are the symptoms? Blood sugar problems, inability to maintain healthy ideal weight, joint and tissue inflammation, chronic skin inflammation, allergies, declining mental function over time, fatigue, and many, many other things. So what are the causes? Lack of consumption of fruits and vegetables, and intake of large amounts of carbohydrates like starches and sugar. Those are the causes. So what's the solution? EMULIN. We all know that, carbohydrate manager. And I got one little correction I forgot to make there, Jackie. We'll get back to that one. So anyway, introducing EMULIN M&C, C&M. Dr. Joe, I just love that man. I'll tell you, we all do. He's a brilliant, brilliant man. He's done a lot of research over many, many years, and he's come up with this wonderful patented carbohydrate manager that helps the body to regulate sugars, which is just so critical. Refined carbohydrate management is what we're talking about here. So Dr. Joe's been over 12 years working. He's got it. He's worked it and worked it and worked it. Every version he's come out with is better and better. And it works really to help manage the carbohydrates, but also to quell the silent inflammation linked to it. That's the key. So, like your mom said, eat your fruits and vegetables. So we either, every bite we take, we're either fighting disease with the broccoli, or fruits and vegetables, or we're feeding it with the processed foods. So, well, what she said is right. Now we know why. So make sure you make the right choices, plus take your EMULIN, because today you cannot get all the nutrients you want from your food alone. It's not possible. It's not in the soil, so it's not going to be there, but we can do it when we're taking EMULIN and other products that Valentis has that are going to feed us back to health. That's it, Jackie.
Look, Ron, as you sit here and you listen to you and you go through this, and a lot of us have a passion for good health because we're in this industry. We're sharing the passion of sharing a message globally and what the benefits are in creating awareness. And I think what you've done today, it's certainly made me look at things differently. And I'm very grateful for your knowledge, as I'm sure everybody else is. And I want to thank you so much for what you provided, because I know there's going to be a lot of questions. So I want to thank you so much, and just finish this recording, and then I'll let people ask so we can keep this nice and clean, if that's okay for everyone. I do appreciate everybody for understanding Dr. Ahrens not being able to be here. And I certainly am so eternally grateful for Dr. Ron Boersema Snr, because without him, I'd be lost. That's the reality behind it. So I will thank you. I'm going to stop here, but please stay tuned. And thank you, everybody, and make sure that you do tune in next week, okay?